And I. What do we need to know? What do we need to know? All right. In 60 seconds, hi, will be good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening to everyone that's connected. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for connecting. Really appreciate you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of The Q, brought to you by me, Dikwa Yewole. The Q, Customer Experience Conversations. This is where we talk about various ways that we can have the best customer experience, either as customers or as business operators, as owners of organizations, owners of businesses, whatever we do, as long as we engage with the business and customers every single day. We need to know what's going on here. All right. Yeah. So welcome, welcome again. So tonight, we're talking about my customer and I think we should just dive right into it because it's starting a bit late. My customer and I, in recent time, it's become very evident that for a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of business operators, there isn't a lot of attention being paid to the customer experience, and you'd agree with me that it's really frustrating. And so, before I continue, yes, so you can be part of the conversation. While we're having the conversation, you can request to join, so we can talk for a few minutes. Not just you, every single person on here. It's Open Mic Thursday, so you can connect, be part of the conversation. So it's not just a monologue. You can always have a dialogue. Okay. So if you're connected right now on this IG live, please, when you feel like you want to be part of the conversation, just indicate, let us know, so you can be part of the conversation. Okay. Thanks so very much. Yeah. So as I was saying, it's become very, very evident that a lot of people, a lot of businesses, business operators don't pay so much attention to customer experience, which is part of the reasons why we have this particular podcast. And for me, it is getting quite frustrating. And I mean, I'm sure every single person on here can relate to what I'm saying. Everyone listening to me right now, either listening live or you're going to be listening to this when it's been uploaded on either Podbean, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube channel. A lot of negligence is being seen with business operators with regards to customer experience, and I really don't know why. Because in the end, when you don't have customers in your business, can you boldly say that you have a business? Really? Can you say that? So that, for me, is a major challenge that it needs to be addressed very, very urgently. I'll do a quick recap of what we talked about the other time, and then we go into today's subject, which is my customer and I. So I'll just use that to put up a bit of background to what we want to talk about today. Okay, along the line, then we'll get to know what we're talking about. All right. So yeah, the other time we talked about service failures and the challenges with being able to deliver adequate service to your customers, clients, consumers. Okay, and we said it is very possible that that happens, that there's some breakdown in the system. We're human beings, and aside from being human beings, we live in an imperfect system. Okay, we live in an imperfect world. No organization is perfect. No organization knows it all. Nobody knows it all. Okay, but that being said, when those things happen, sometimes they are foreseen, sometimes they are unforeseen. But what do we then do when there's a service breakdown? What are the things that we need to do? Okay, and we gave an example of 2020, 2021 when COVID hit. It really, really devastated practically every business on the planet. So very few survived it. Some very few made a lot of money from it, which, I mean, it's really expected. But what were those things that those businesses that were affected? Some businesses practically were grounded. Some businesses, um, industries, sectors globally, they were affected. They were grounded. They couldn't do anything. How did they come out of that era of the lockdown, the travel restrictions, and all of that. How did they come out of it? What were the things that they learned? What were the things that they did? Okay, what were the things, or what are the things that they're doing right now to ensure that there's better customer experience and there's a lot of patronage going to their businesses. One of the industries that we talked about that was affected globally by the COVID-19 pandemic was the airline industry. The airline industry, the hospitality industry. You know that in 2020, most of that year was a lockdown year, and there were on and offs with the lockdowns, partial lockdowns, full lockdowns, travel restrictions. Some countries relaxed it, some didn't. Some first relaxed and then some didn't. We know how that entire episode went. But for some businesses, they died off. For some, they saw it as an opportunity to improve their systems, to improve their processes, to be better at what they do. What are those things that they did, and what are those things that we can learn from what they did? An example of such organization is the Emirates Airlines. I'm sure you know the Emirates Airlines. In 2020, they came up with basically a kiosk that helps you do check-ins a lot better and a lot faster. Basically, the entire process that would be required for you to get boarded. They had all the small kiosks in different locations around the airports, basically to help you get what you needed to get done a lot faster, a lot smoother, and a lot more convenient. Because this is 2022, everybody wants convenience. That's one of the main things that we want when we're engaging with a business or with any brand. It doesn't matter what service they're offering. Doesn't matter what product they're selling. We want convenience. We want speed. Okay, and this is one thing, or those are factors that I believe that some businesses haven't really come around to realize or to really acknowledge that those are very key elements in doing business today. It doesn't matter if you're in financial services, if you're in tech, if you're a retailer, if you're a manufacturer. It doesn't matter what part of the value chain you are, what industry, what sector. What people want today is speed and convenience. Simple. So the question is this: if those are the parameters for the ultimate customer experience that people want, speed and convenience, what are those things that you're doing in your organization, in your business, to ensure that people get that? Because, I mean, if I get what I want from you, why don't I come back to you another time when I need what it is that you're offering? It's really just common sense, okay? It's really common sense. So there's no reason why, if you're offering me what I want, that I won't come back to you. That's one thing that a lot of businesses need to understand, what they need to acknowledge and what they need to work towards within their systems: speed and convenience. So these should be the two pillars that you build your entire customer experience program on. Of course, there are very many more pillars that you can build on, but for the sake of time, we'll choose those two: speed and convenience. Okay. If you're just joining, thank you for connecting to the queue. The Customer Experience Conversations, brought to you by me, Dipo Oyewole. Thank you so very much again. I can see a few of you joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So very, very quickly, as we're continuing with the conversation around what do you do when there's a service failure? What do you do when there are challenges? What do you do when there's a breakdown in the entire system? What do you do when you're offering a service to a customer and then for some reason there's a disconnect between what you're offering and between what their expected experience is supposed to be? What do you do? How do you remedy those things? How do you remedy that particular event? What do you do at that time? So in a case where there's service failure, there's always an opportunity for service recovery, either you like it or not. Okay. And I think it's also very important that I say this to everyone, because every single person out there, either you're a business operator or whatever, okay, that we understand that on any and every level, you are a customer to a particular person, you are a customer to a particular industry, a particular sector, a particular business. I mean, we engage with businesses every single day as individuals. Okay, either they're retailers, wholesalers, whatever part of the value chain that they operate in. We interface with businesses every single day. So this, I really want to say to us, it is important that as customers, as consumers, as clients, that we need to adopt the culture of giving feedback. I'll say that again. As customers, as consumers, as clients, we need to adopt the culture of giving feedback. Either it's positive, either it's negative. Businesses need feedback. They need feedback to grow. They need feedback to do better. They need feedback to serve you better. They need feedback to provide better products, better services that you would enjoy and get actual value for your money. So it is important. It is important. Please, feedback is very, very important. Feedback. We must adopt the culture of giving feedback. That being said, every single business, and I mean every single business with no exceptions, either you're an online business or you're an offline business, you must have systems. You must have systems that ensures that you are able to receive feedback effectively. We don't need to jump through hurdles again because we want to give you feedback. I mean, that just doesn't make any single sense. Okay? It must be there. It must be part of your business processes. No matter how you go about it, you must put feedback mechanisms in place. Put feedback mechanisms in place. Encourage people to give you feedback. That's very important because without feedback, you don't know what you're doing wrong. You don't know what you're doing right. When you know what you're doing right, then you can improve on what you're doing right. And when you hear of something you're not doing as well as you should, or something you're not doing right, then you identify that, and then you see how you can work on it. Because somehow we find a lot of businesses that do not have a steady feedback culture. Some do not even have anyone existing. And I wonder, how do you run a business where there's no feedback mechanism? How do you know what your customers are experiencing? How do you know what they're feeling? How do you know what they have felt engaging with you, engaging with your brand? How do you know? How can you tell? Because you're wondering that, okay, you know what, this person engaged my business a while ago, and then for some reason we don't see them any longer, and you're not asking questions. Why are you not asking questions? Do you have feedback mechanisms? Do you reach out to your customers once in a while to ask, how was the service? How can we serve you better? After sales service, do you do that as business operators? Or we just take our customers and our clients for granted and we just say that, okay, you know what, we've given them the products, we provided the service, we have gotten their money. That's the most important thing to a lot of people. And then they can go do whatever they like. Do you think that's how to run a sustainable business? Because we need to do personal studies of practically every top organization out there. The organizations you see every other day in the news, the Googles, the Amazons, the Facebooks, the WhatsApp, Instagram, all these tech organizations, Coca-Cola, Nike, even the ones that aren't tech, they have feedback mechanisms in place, effective feedback mechanisms. I mean, some of them spend millions of dollars on consultants to help them run surveys to get feedbacks. That's how much they care about feedbacks, and that's how important feedback is to any sensible business. Because you can't say you're spending millions and billions of dollars on R&D and then you're not getting feedback from customers. How do you know what to work on? How do you know what to improve on? Okay, so yes, it is important that we have steady feedback mechanisms in place in our businesses, no matter the size of your business. If it's just you, if it's an entire team, if it's made up of several teams, we must have effective feedback mechanisms in our organizations, in our businesses. It's really non-negotiable. Okay, so the feedback culture is something that is very integral to business success. And talking about customer experience, a lot of people believe that customer experience is a unit or is a department in an organization. Now, we choose to use customer experience here and not customer service because, like I said before, customer service, the person at the center of that entire customer service, those words, is the service operator, which shouldn't be. The service operator should not be at the center of it when we're talking about what a customer should expect and how those expectations should be met with regards to getting value for their money. The person at the center of it should be the customer. That's why it's the customer experience conversations, not customer service conversations. So what we have in organizations today are customer service departments. Excuse me. We have customer service departments, and then what they focus on is how the service operators need to behave without having to make the linchpin be about what the customers expect. Which is why I feel that there is sort of a disconnect where we have organizations that even have steady feedback mechanisms. They have entire units, departments that are dedicated to customer service, but somehow there's so many service failures along the line because there's a disconnect. Because the entire training, the entire mindset is about the service operator, not the customer. Good. The training will be, a customer walks in, you say hello, good morning, good afternoon, they're going, thank you for being here, come again. But the question is this: how about we center it about what the customer wants, what the customer expects, meeting the customer's expectations, asking ourselves, what experience is this customer walking away with from here, from the first time they engage me? What's the experience? And it is really, really terrible, and I'll say quite shameful, that a lot of businesses, the amount of negligence shown towards customer experience is really, really alarming. I think a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, there was a new restaurant close to where I live. And from the very first night that I went there to get something to eat, I noticed a lot of lapses. I mean, a lot of lapses. Every single touch point was erroneous. I mean, it was really, really terrible. Really terrible. I brought the attention of one of the employees to it, and then they tried to address things they could address. And every other time I went there, it was one thing or the other, but I said, you know what, I'll just get my food and leave. But then a particular day, every single thing that could go wrong went wrong. I mean, how can you claim to have a delivery service as a restaurant, and then for some reason you're reachable for 3 to 4 hours? And you say you have a delivery service, you run a delivery service alongside the restaurant business to deliver the food to your customers. We were reachable for hours. I had to go there myself, left the work I was doing, had to go there, go get the food, and then I had to express my displeasure. And then all the apologies of, oh, we're very sorry, and I mean, excuses that weren't really tenable. So I don't understand why. And even after that particular engagement, I still had a conversation with one of the guys that I have no idea, maybe he's a manager. Called him, spoke with him for 20 minutes. It was practically a training on customer experience. Told him how to go about having a logbook and all of that, making their entire delivery system as efficient as it can be. Would you believe that a day after that particular conversation, I still had the same challenge with them? I still had the same challenge with them. That shows us the amount of negligence shown with regards to customer experience, and even where people have actual solutions given to them for free. Now, the conversation was for free. 20 minutes. 20 minutes of my time, of my airtime, called the manager to have a conversation with him because it was a new business. At the time, I think they were just open for like 2 to 3 months, and beautiful facility. Of everything that they had wrong, their food, impeccable. Showed they did some research. They had a lot of variety, very, very good food, but the service, very, very terrible. Very terrible, contrastingly terrible compared to the quality of the food. And because of what I do, I felt, okay, I should have a conversation with them. Because for some reason, some business operators do not get to know these things from within, which, I mean, it does happen to a lot of us. It happens to almost everyone, where you are sort of oblivious to certain things that happen to you within your system. So I called him as a third party and I said, okay, you know what? This is what I do. Let me have this conversation with you. He was literally taking notes. And even after all of that, they still fell flat. That's just one example of very many. One example of very, very, very many businesses that pay no attention to the customer experience. And then certain months go down the line and they start to wonder what the challenge is. Why aren't customers coming? Because you need to understand that if I am giving you money in exchange for value, I also, as a human being, part of the value I am getting is that I must also feel seen. You feel you don't owe me that? Good luck. I'll take my money somewhere else. Now, given a negative example, how about a positive example? I believe it was 2 weeks ago, I had to engage a business right here on Instagram. Wanted to get a couple of diffusers from them. And the speed in the response was really amazing. The conversations, everything went smoothly. I had the conversation. I said, okay, you know what? This is when I want it delivered. I have to be out by a certain time. And they met that time. Short notice. Even after sales, their after sales approach was impeccable. Last week, I recommended them to a friend. I have recommended them to more than one people, to more than one person, this particular business. And I'll be doing a lot more business with them. That is what sound customer experience gets you. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Sometimes it is the fine line between business success and business failure. Getting customer experience right. It is as simple as that sometimes. It is as simple as that. And a lot of business operators work in certain ways that you get to wonder, what are you really in business for? Are you really in business to make money? Or you're in business to just show that, okay, you know what? We have a logo, we have an office space, or we can pay salaries. Anyway, moving on. Examples of service recovery methods. Now, service recovery is when there have been service failures, and we've been able to establish that service failure is what happens when a customer's expectation isn't met at all, or if it isn't met halfway. All right, I'll take that again. Service failures is what happens when a customer's expectations, when engaging a brand, when engaging a business, when it isn't met. That is when service failures happen. Now, when service failures happen, that cannot be the end of it. Earlier, we talked about having feedback mechanisms for the businesses and encouraging customers to be able to give feedback as well to businesses and organizations, that is positive or negative. Now, let's say, for instance, the feedback is negative, but somehow you don't have a feedback mechanism in place, but somehow you got to know that the feedback or the experience the customer had with your business was a negative one. What are those things that you do to remedy the particular situation? Because sometimes we really can't help it, okay? Sometimes maybe more than one person in your team calls in sick, and then it disrupts the entire flow or the entire process. These things happen. Certain things happen. Act of God, some horrible traffic, some accident. These things happen. Even things that are clear failures of your internal processes. But service failures do happen with every single brand out there. There is no big brand out there that you can think of that hasn't had a service failure or a major one that has shaken up the entire industry or shaken up the entire business. So what do you do when you have service failures? Service recoveries. What are those things that you do for service recovery? How about the refund? Have you considered that? If you can't do a total refund, can you do a percentage of the particular amount? Can you have the conversation? Can you empathize? Because that's the first thing you need to do. You need to empathize with the customer. Are you empathizing with the customer, or you just believe that, okay, you know what, this customer is difficult, or they're just being unreasonable? Have you empathized with them? Because what you must do as a business operator, which is something I tell my clients all the time, is especially when you're building your business, whatever business model you're building a product, service line, your entire processes. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. If you're a customer, or if you were a customer, would you buy this particular product for that amount? If you were a customer, would you pay for that particular service that you are offering for that amount? Would that be good value for money? Putting yourself in the customer's shoes. You need to empathize with the customer when you're trying to engage in service recovery processes. The first thing to do is to empathize. Then we can talk about maybe having refunds. Is it possible that you can have a refund? Can a refund be possible? Either a total refund or a partial refund or any other form of compensation. That's the next point, because compensations are also very important, because that's one way that customers feel like they're being heard. Because either you like it or not, okay, as human beings, as people, we want to know that we're seen, we want to know that we're heard, we want to feel special in whatever engagement, in whatever type of relationship. It's just basic human nature. It's not about it's not about your temperament. It's not about how you're brought up. It's not about maybe you're soft or you're hard. Because in the end, it is part of what we're getting as value. You think it's not true? Ask yourself this. For some reason, you've been able to change a business that you engage with to move with another business. Have you been able to critically ask yourself serious questions as to why you did that? Is it because of their logo? I guess not. Is it because of the customer experience? Possibly. Now, try to make a list of what made you leave the business you left for the new one. Mind you, some of us have left businesses or have refused to engage with certain businesses that even have cheaper products for the ones that have more expensive products. Why is that? Customer experience. Because they made you feel seen. Because they made you feel special. The customer experience. So you tell someone that, okay, you know what? That place, oh, it's a lot more expensive than this other store that you go to. Why do you keep going there? And then you say, I don't know. Now I'm telling you why you go there. The customer experience is really solid. Even though you know that it's a little bit more expensive. But for you, it is worth it. And what is that really? Because you feel seen there. Because they make you feel special. That is the power of customer experience. Okay? So another thing to do for a service recovery is you apologize. How about you apologize? Because I don't see you saying you empathize and then you don't apologize. How does that work really? Is that really practical? You can't say you empathize, because if you get a negative feedback and then the customer comes to say that, okay, you know what, we had this challenge with engaging your business, we had this dissatisfaction, can you just apologize? Sometimes all they need to hear is an apology. You don't even need to go through the process of a refund or compensation. You don't even need that. Sometimes what some people just need is an apology. All they just need is an apology. All they just need is an apology. So you'd be surprised how sometimes, or let me say how little you need to do for service recovery to be intact. You'd be surprised. You'd really, really be surprised. Sometimes, like I said, it doesn't need to cost you money. It doesn't need to cost you any compensations or refunds. Apologize. You will see from the reaction of the customer, of the client, then you can tell if the apology is enough or you need to do more. You'll be able to tell if the apology is enough or you need to do more. But it is important that you apologize when there's a negative feedback with your business, with your industry, with your organization, either whatever part of the value chain you find yourself. It is very important that you apologize. More importantly, or most importantly, you need to find a way to rectify the mistake. Not just for that particular customer, but so that no other customer has to go through what that particular customer went through. It is very important. Find ways, practical ways to rectify that mistake, and also communicate with that particular customer that is giving you the negative feedback about what you're doing. Oh, we're very sorry. We're working to improve our processes. This and this is what we're doing. It shows that you're proactive. It shows that you're serious. It shows that you take your clients seriously. That's really what that is. It's really important. Okay? So, very quickly, we'll go to 4 principles. Okay? 4 principles that you need to embrace for a good customer experience. 4 principles. Out of those 4 principles, we're focusing on the very first one. Focusing on the very first one because, as you know, today's topic is my customer and I, and that's really at the heart of what we're trying to talk about. So yeah, and let me say again, for those just connecting, thank you very much for connecting. If you want to be part of the conversation, please connect with us. Let us know. Request to be part of the conversation. Yeah. So the very first thing is personalization. One of the 4 key principles of good customer experience. Now, there are so many of them, but we'll take 4. One of the very first ones is personalization, competence, convenience, and being proactive. Now, we will be focusing on personalization today, and we will expand on the other ones in weeks to come. Okay? So, in terms of personalization or personalized engagement, a good customer service always starts with a human touch. Very important. Starts with a human touch. Either way you like it. It always starts with a human touch. All right? Personalized interactions greatly improve customer experience and lets customers know that your company, your organization, your business, and your brand care about them and their problems, instead of thinking of service as a cost or the entire experience as a cost. It's not a cost. It's part of what makes your business, okay? It's not a cost. It's an opportunity to earn your customers' business all over again. Like the example I gave earlier about the business I interfaced with 2 weeks ago. It's just an opportunity to earn that business again and earn more businesses in the future. It's not a cost. It's not a big deal. Ideally, it should be a standard culture. Like I said before, for some organizations, they have those places as units or as departments. You hear them say, we have customer service departments and all of that. But the fact remains that every single person in an organization is a customer service operator. It has to be from the top. If it is not a culture in the organization, those that you even have in the unit will struggle to deliver on what you pay them to deliver on. So it must be a culture. It must be part of the DNA of your business. It must be part of what you're known for. You're talking about customer experience. I like to give the example of Amazon. And before I go on with the example of Amazon, those reconnecting again, thank you for reconnecting. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can request to join. So it's not just a monologue, we can have a dialogue. Okay, so you can request to join to be part of the conversation, and then we can have a conversation for some minutes about what we're talking about today. Okay, so if you're interested, you want to be part of the conversation, please request to join. You can be part of the conversation. All right. So I was talking about Amazon as an example. And one reason why I like to use Amazon as an example of customer experience is that personally, I've had various people have various experiences with Amazon as an organization. And like 2 or 3 of them had said that for some time they were having issues that they were trying to resolve and all of that. For some reason, they couldn't get them resolved in good time. And they sent each person that I spoke to sent an email to Jeff Bezos, his personal email. Okay. Within 24 hours, Jeff responded to the email. And within that same 24 hours, the issues were resolved. Now, the Amazon I'm talking about is not the Amazon of the 2000 or many years ago. I'm talking experience of within the last 3 years when he was the richest person on the planet. But today you have someone, you have a small business, you're difficult to reach. That's, for me, is really an anomaly. It's an anomaly because you believe that, okay, you know what? I'm a boss, I'm a CEO. You shouldn't be able to reach me whenever I feel you want to reach me, even though you are practically the only contact person for your business. So I really don't know how you want to run your business. But yes, Amazon is a very good example of what it means to have solid customer experience. And one of those folks I interacted with even told me of a particular experience, aside from the one that he has to reach Jeff for, where they had a certain delivery because they live in Nigeria. So they bought a couple of items, had it delivered to a US address. Now, the US address belonged to a friend of a friend. And then that person got very careless with the package. The package got, when I say missing or stolen, in the end, they couldn't get possession of the package. At the time, it cost almost ₦1 million. So I think like 3-4 years ago, I think 5 years now. And then there was a back and forth, back and forth. Would you believe that Amazon replaced that entire order at no cost to them? Of course, they had to provide a new receiving address, but even though it was clearly not Amazon's fault. Clearly not. It was clearly not. Because what they ordered for was delivered to the address that was given. But somehow the recipients got very careless. The items got missing or stolen, or maybe he sold it. We don't know what happened. But a complaint was made. There was a lot of follow-up. And then Amazon restored every single thing that they bought. Till today, I mean, as at the time we were having the conversation, he said that no matter what he needed to get, as long as it was on Amazon, he was going to get it from Amazon. That he became a customer for life. Because of that, he signed up for Amazon Prime. I mean, so I'll give you an example of how much of an Amazon fan guy he is. At the time we're having this conversation, he needed to change his wristwatch strap. Just a wristwatch strap. And then he opened his laptop, he was checking for it on Amazon. I said, okay, fine. You and I know that Amazon doesn't deliver directly to Nigeria. So what's the plan? He said he was going to order for the wristwatch strap, I kid you not, on Amazon. Have it delivered somewhere in the US and then have someone send it down to Nigeria. And I told him, man, there are places that are just 10, 15, 20 minutes from where we're seated right now that I can get the same kind of strap, same quality, for a cheaper price, and you can get all of that done today. He said, no, I am buying it on Amazon. That, my friends, is the power of customer experience. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. And that is the reason why billions of people, let me say millions of people on the planet today use Amazon. Forget that maybe they have the express lines of all of that. Okay, you pay extra to have it delivered on time and all of that. But it is a business that is a very good example of what it means to build your entire system, your entire processes, your entire business on the customer experience. Because in the end, without customers, can you really say you have a business? Really? Can you say that you have a business? So today we're looking at personalization from two perspectives, okay? We'll be looking at personalization as an experience and as a business strategy. Like I said earlier, if you're just connecting or you're connecting recently, if you want to be part of the conversation, just request to join the conversation. It doesn't have to be a monologue. It's supposed to be a dialogue. So you can also share a perspective on what we're talking about today. We're talking about my customer and I. So if you have any thoughts on what it is that we're discussing today, just request to join. We can have the conversation for a few minutes while okay, well, your opinion. Well, we can have the conversation while we're on here. We have a couple of minutes to go. All right. So, like I said, we'll be talking about personalization from two perspectives. One, as an experience, and two, as a business strategy. Now, when we're having the conversation, we will not be differentiating between the two because of time. We'll be having the conversation all together. Then We can always distinguish between the one that is an experience and the one that is a business strategy. Okay, hope that's fine. Okay, so for the one that is a business strategy, that one will sort of be speaking to a lot of people who are retailers or a lot of business owners who are retailers. Okay, I'm sure there are a few things that they can learn. So there are a few things that they can learn from this particular conversation. Okay, so personalization was limited mainly to target offers. It now extends to the entire customer experience conversation. Okay, customers want some form of personalization. Now I'll give you an example of what I'm trying to say. So personalization is as an experience. Let me start with this as an experience. For example, you have 10 customers that you need to attend to, either physically or virtually. Okay, it is very important that you make every customer, every single one of them, feel like they are the only ones you have to attend to that day. Now, I don't say or I don't mean that you spend your entire time with them. That's not efficient, and that really doesn't make any sense. Okay, but you must make the customer feel, like I said, you must make them feel seen, you must feel heard, they must feel special. Very important points. Personalization is when you make a customer feel like, even though you're standing in front of me with a dozen people, but you are the only one that has my attention right now. You are the only one I am seeing. You are the only one that matters right now. Okay? You are the only one that matters. You are the only one that I'm seeing. That is personalization as an experience. Now, personalization as a business strategy. I'll give an example. Now, there's a particular online vendor that I get a few things from. And whenever I get anything from them, they have these little cards that they then write your name. Okay, thank you. You write your name there. Thank you, Mr. XYZ, for patronizing us. We hope to see you again and all of that. That is a form of personalization because they are a really small business. Okay. So that's an example of personalization as a strategy, as a business strategy. Because that way you bring out a product and then you bring out the card and then you see it and then you say, okay, I think these guys are paying attention. They're putting a personal touch to it. Okay. So customers want personalization throughout their interactions with the retailer. Okay. With multiple personalized touch points. They are very important. They enable them to allocate their time, money according to their preferences. Okay. So if there's any way that in your product line or in your service line, there's an option for a customer to pick and choose how they want what they want to get from you to look like or to feel like, if that is possible, you should engage that or you should employ that in your business. Okay, if it's an option, because in some cases, depending on the business, the sector, and the industry, it can be expensive. Okay, for some people, it can be expensive, and for some businesses, you can do exactly what I just said or gave as an example a few minutes ago, that it could just be a small card with a handwritten note, 2-3 lines in there saying, okay, Mr. XYZ, Mrs. XYZ, thank you for your patronage, we appreciate you. And that could just be it. And that could just be something that is affordable yet effective. Because I believe that a lot of people mistake the cost of something with the actual value of it. Because something is expensive doesn't mean it's that valuable. For example, if you spend a lot of money to buy me something that maybe I'm really not interested in. Okay, so for example, now I'm not a football fan. Okay, maybe I watch it once in a while when I stumble on it, but I don't have a particular football club that I really cheer for. So, for example, maybe Ronaldo is in Manchester United. Maybe you go get an original Ronaldo jersey signed by Ronaldo, and I'm sure if you put it on the open market, it's going to cost a lot of money, and then you give me that. I mean, I'll say thank you because I'd understand the value of it, but forgive me if I'm not so psyched or if I'm not jumping up and down because I have a Ronaldo signed jersey, because it's really not my thing. Okay. On the other hand, I know a couple of people that if you give them even a knockoff, A knockoff Ronaldo jersey. Not even the original. Doesn't have to be signed by Ronaldo. I mean, they probably give you like 20 missed calls to say thank you. Okay. So we must understand that what we want as individuals differ. Also, how we want to experience a brand or experience an organization or a company or a business, it will also differ because we have different preferences. We have different reasons for engaging a brand. Okay. Some people engage a brand because of their prices. Some engage them because maybe they have a wonderful outlook because of their branding. Okay. So we have different reasons for engaging different brands. And those reasons are tied to our expectations when we're engaging those brands. So it is left to us who are business operators to be able to identify what those could possibly be. Mind you, I said possibly. I didn't say that you must know or you are able to adequately decipher what they could be. But it is important that we are able to get an idea of what it could possibly be or what those reasons could possibly be so that we can meet them at the point of their expectations. Because if you do not meet those expectations, irrespective of whatever it is that you do, you'll still end up with a service failure. I mean, you can go by everything in the book, go by several things that makes or that has made several customers happy. But then there's this particular customer, could be a high profile customer, could not be, doesn't necessarily need to be a high profile customer. But for some reason, that person isn't impressed. That person isn't getting what they want. They just don't seem to be getting it. It's left to us as business operators to then take a step back, to then likely ask questions. That's where the service recovery comes in, because these things will always happen. To ask questions. Oh, how can we serve you better? Or what was the challenge? Oh, we apologize for that. What can we do to make it better? And from asking those questions and having those questions answered, you can always get an idea or have an inkling towards what it is that that customer expects. So when you address those expectations, then you can say that you've given them a positive customer experience. Okay, so we're talking about personalization and we're really, really running out of time. I think we may have to continue this particular conversation next week, but we're still on. We're still on for a few minutes. We're still on for a few minutes, but because I don't want to rush. I don't want to rush it. Okay, I don't want to rush it. So yeah, personalization. Personalization is very, very important. It is very, very key. Very, very key to the entire customer experience conversation. As much as possible. So this is it. Have you ever asked yourself why, for example, why we have collectors, maybe all these art collectors or people that say they buy a particular painting for $10 million. I'm not talking NFTs now. I'm talking actual paintings that you can feel and touch. $10 million, and then you're wondering what's the problem exactly. $10 million. Do you know what that will solve in my life if you give me $10 million? It's part of what they're paying for is the exclusivity of it. Because no two people can have that same painting. Except maybe one of them. Definitely one of them will have a forgery. If there are two people that have the same painting. Okay? So that is part of what they're paying for, the exclusivity of it, how it makes them feel. It makes them feel special. That in itself is a form of personalization. Being able to say that, you know what, that Van Gogh, I'm the only person that has it on the continent of Africa, or on the continent of Europe, or in the US, or in the entire world. There's a reason why Bugattis are as expensive as they are, and why they don't make too many of them. In a year, I'm not sure they make up to 1,000 Bugattis. Do you know how many cars Toyota makes in a year? Do you know how many cars Honda makes in a year? And these other luxury brands, you find that they also make a lot less in terms of manufacturing, in terms of production, compared to the mid-range or the mid-price cars or manufacturing cars or car manufacturing companies. Pardon me. There's a reason for it, because you can't once it is out there, once it is too common, it loses the exclusivity of it. It loses what makes it special. So that is something that we need to impute into our customer experience protocols. You can have 20 people standing in front of you, but that one person that you're attending to or you're having a conversation with at that particular time, you don't always have to go by, okay, what's in the rule book? Okay, the rule book says, okay, say good morning, sir. Rule book says, how may we help you? There are certain people that just doesn't work with. It's just not good enough. So we must always find ways to give personalized experiences to our customers, our clients, our consumers, the people that engage our brands, the people that engage our businesses. It is very important. Having a personalized experience is really everything. It's really everything. And that's why we're starting with that, with part of the 4 pillars of the many pillars that makes your customer experience protocols very effective. That's why we're starting with it. So personalization, either as an experience or as a business strategy, it is something that we must engage in our business. It is non-negotiable. It is really non-negotiable. Okay, it's non-negotiable. Okay, so I think we have to wind down now. Okay, so I'd say at this juncture, definitely we haven't really touched on personalization. Okay, I think we'll need to revisit personalization next week. But this much I would say, thank you so very much. So every single person, every individual that has connected with the Q tonight, with me, Dipo Iwali, thank you so very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. No matter the time you came in, from the beginning, from the middle, towards the ending, you are very much appreciated. Thank you so very much. Watch this space for more information on the Q, the customer experience conversations. You can follow this page if you're not following it. You can also get our recordings from the previous episodes, including this one. This particular episode will be out on our various platforms within the next 24 hours. To be on our YouTube page, it will be on our podcasts, on Podbean and the Apple Podcast. Just look out for the Q Podcasts, okay, on all the platforms, YouTube, Podbean, and Apple Podcast. Just check for the Q Podcasts, okay? Then you'll get a full recap of everything we talked about here. It's also going to be on here on my personal page on Instagram at Dikbo Oyewole. So thank you very much again. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your time. So till next week, I'd say give feedbacks, take feedbacks, have the most amazing customer experience protocols and experiences. Thank you. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sure some of you are still in the day over at your end. Okay, still daytime. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.